3,100 Guardians submitted their votes, and it's time to reveal the final results. What were your favorite exotic weapons from Year 1 and Year 2 of Destiny? We'll start by going over primary weapons, first with auto rifles. Jalo's Supercell, or as I like to call it Palpatine's AK-47, wins by a sizable margin with over 40% of the vote. A former King of the Crucible, Suros Regime, comes in second, while the Monte Carlo takes third. I'm personally surprised to see Necrochasm up in fourth, followed by Hardlight and then Fabian's Strategy in last place. I expect a lot of opinions to change about Fabian's Strategy post-patch, but for all but the last few days, it has undoubtedly been a poor choice for an exotic weapon. In Scout Rifles, none stood a chance against the Meta Multi-Tool, taking 59% of the vote. The Warlock exclusive Tlaloc makes it to second place, followed by the Jade Rabbit, Touch of Malice, and in last place, the Boolean Gemini. Gemini just saw a recent buff, so opinions could change during Year 3, but Touch of Malice is a weapon that was designed for one specific event, King's Fall, so it's unsurprising to see it finish this low. Hand Cannon saw the closest race for first place amongst primary exotics, with Hawkmoon barely edging out the last word by just over 2%, and Thorn finishing just behind in third. Hunter exclusive Ace of Spades edges the first curse for 4th and 5th respectively. On a personal note, I absolutely adore using Hawkmoon. I've used it so much that it actually feels like it's a part of my character in the game, but anyone who's spent good time in Crucible knows just how well the last word works in a one-on-one fight. Happy to see Hawkmoon win here, but the last word really gave it a run for its money. Pulse Rifles were a one-gun race, with Bad Juju finishing just short of 50% of the vote. Red Death solidly finishes in second, while No Time to Explain finishes in a distant third. It's interesting to note that out of the 4 primary weapons that finished in last place in their respective categories, 3 of them saw notable buffs in the recent weapons balance patch. Just goes to show you, Bungie is clearly paying attention to weapon usage and trying to add some luster to these forgotten weapons. Moving on to secondary weapons, we start with shotguns, which ended up being a relatively well-contested vote. Invective solidly takes first place with 32% of the vote, but second place was up in the air until late in voting, where Lord of Wolves pulled away from the Chaperone for second place, with primary slotted Universal Remote taking 4th. In last place is the 4th Horseman, a weapon that I adore aesthetically, but simply kicks too much and has too little range to be viable in anything but the closest of close quarters fighting. Now we look at sniper rifles, where Year 1 mainstay Icebreaker wins with 50% of the vote. Year 2 must-have Black Spindle takes second place, followed by No Land Beyond, Zen Meteor, Patience and Time, and Hereafter in last. Black Spindle has become a modern mainstay of many raid strategies, essentially taking over for the Icebreaker. I thought Icebreaker would win this, but I'm very surprised to see just how dominant it was, especially considering the significant nerf the weapon saw in its ammo regeneration rate. In what's probably the funniest of all the polls, Newcomer Trespasser beat out Dreg's Promise as your favorite exotic sidearm. Dreg's Promise is yet another weapon that saw a buff in the recent weapons balance patch, but those who have been able to get their hands on Trespasser seem to like the weapon quite a bit. Favorite exotic fusion rifle, arguably the most varied and unique set of exotic weapons in Destiny, sees a win by another Year 1 mainstay, the Vex Mythoclast. Second place goes to the very unique Telesto, with Sleeper Simulant finishing about 1% behind for third. Plan C, Queenbreaker's Bow, and the Pocket Infinity round out the vote. I honestly thought that Sleeper would take this one handily, but fond memories of the Mythoclast surely won out. Telesto is an incredibly fun weapon to use as well. I'm not surprised to see it finish in second place. And now on to heavy weapons, which were essentially all no contests. In heavy machine guns, Thunderlord crushed Super Good Advice, 75% to 25%. Super Good Advice is another weapon that's good for one specific role, taking out oracles in the Vault of Glass. In rocket launchers, Gjallarhorn wins with a commanding 74% of the vote, followed by Truth and Dragon's Breath in a distant third place. Truth's tracking may be its strong point, but none can resist the fireworks every time a Gjallarhorn is fired. And finally, we come to exotic swords. Razelighter wins handily with 52% of the vote, followed by Dark Drinker and Boltcaster in third. I've always loved Boltcaster myself, but it's hard to deny the outright damage potential of Razelighter. So that's it for the polls. Thank you everyone for voting and for watching, and have fun on Tuesday with the release of Rise of Iron. This has been Scan with GLHF TV.